All right, it is 7 p.m. We will call the city council meeting to order. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Doing a roll call, Councilmember Lundin is here, but he might be outside. And we do have the one Jeff Holmgren seat, and he is not here this evening. Next, we'll move on to public comment. If there's anybody that has public comment this evening, I will remind you of some of the rules. There's a 3-minute time limit, and Councilmember Heeman will be the timekeeper with a 1-minute sign. Please keep the public comment to city business and not personal or political attacks. And we will have a time limit tonight, total of 15 minutes, because there are lots of items to get through. So if anybody has a similar or the same type of comment, you're more than welcome to combine them into one. So if anybody's wanting to come forward, come on up. Just state your name and address for the record, please. Thank you for coming in.
My name's Josh Boswell.
Is that microphone on?
Sorry, I'm too tall.
No, it's okay. It's hard to set up.
Is it on? Can you hear me?
Yep.
My name is Josh Boswell. I wanted to comment on your Facebook page, your mayor Facebook page. You've directed people multiple times to that page as a way of communicating with you. That would be public record at that point, and you've taken down those records now. There's nothing left on the mayor page. In fact, you took down articles that you had written specifically about the school walkout. None of them are posted on there anymore.
Okay, I haven't taken down or blocked anyone from anything on my mayor page, and it's not an official city page. The City of Iceni page is the official communication
Except for
page.
the fact that you've specifically directed residents to use that as a way to communicate with their mayor.
Sure.
It becomes a public record page at
Okay.
that point. So, and you need to be very careful there because anybody that wanted to go request something from the Minnesota Data Protection Act, and I've checked multiple other city administrators, and they agree that that is city record. That is public record at that point, okay? The second thing I wanted to talk about, the goal meeting that I just watched, that was painful. What goals did you have besides stop taxing people, cutting taxes?
I can read you off the list if you'd like.
I heard them, but it was still painful. I heard specifically a long list of how Steve doesn't want to shovel his snow, and I mean it went on and on and on. It was painful. You don't want to cut taxes anymore. And then you talk about trying to generate revenue for the city. How does the city generate revenue?
Liquor store sales would be
And?
the biggest thing.
And
I don't know, other sources, that's,
taxes.
oh,
That's how a city generates revenue.
Right.
And then you say that you don't have any more things to cut. So you've used up all of your tax cutting ability, don't want to do any more with taxes. How do you expect the city to grow anymore at that point? There's a complete lack of vision. You don't want to raise taxes. I get that. Nobody wants their taxes to be raised, but the city, that's their main source of revenue, whether you want to admit it or not. This is a nice little stipend that comes with it, but that's where your revenue comes from. You can't cut everything and then expect to be able to grow at the same time. Okay? And the third thing, the school walkout, I'm still disturbed about that because as a government official, on that post, not only did you tell people that they shouldn't exercise their First Amendment right, but you went on to agree with people that they should be punished for that.
time's up.
That's
I hear you.
explicitly what the First Amendment was designed against.
Sure. Thank you for the comment. I feel like we are very thorough about our goals, but I appreciate your comment on that, and we continue to work as hard as we can towards market growth, so.
Can I comment on that?
Yeah, turn your mic on, sure, George.
I'd like to comment on that. I know you came in, and I appreciate you came in during the goal-setting meeting, and you did come in later during the meeting? Well, good. Raising, the only other thing I have to say is raising taxes does not grow a city, so.
All right, well, thank you for coming in. I appreciate your comments tonight. Anybody else for public comment? Hearing none, we will move on to adopting the agenda. Are there any changes, Ms. Wood?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. No, there are no changes to this agenda.
Make a motion to adopt.
Second.
Motion to adopt by Councilmember Lundin, second by Councilmember Peterson to adopt the agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. The agenda is adopted. Next is the city council meeting minutes. We can approve them together unless someone has any concerns on either.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved by Councilmember Lundin, second by Councilmember Peterson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. The meeting minutes are approved. So we have announcements. City offices will be closed Monday, February 16th, 2026, in observance of President's Day. Committee of a Whole meeting Tuesday, February 17th, 2026 at 5 p.m. Planning Commission meeting Tuesday, February 17th, 2026 at 6 p.m. City Council meeting Tuesday, February 17th, 2026 at 7 p.m. Parks and Recreation Board meeting Tuesday, February 24th, 2026 at 6 p.m. And we do have the open county communications slot. I don't see anybody from the county here, but I know that's been an ongoing conversation. I did talk with Sheriff Cyberlick just to let him know about the potential for the item that's on the agenda tonight for the parking. So I've tried to keep active communications with him and the two county commissioners also that are in Isani. So I think that's going pretty well. But again, we welcome any sort of county communications from anybody at the county to come in and talk and just keep an open line of communication. I am also working with Justin, their engineer, on a potential improvement to an intersection that we have that is a county road. So hopefully we hear back from engineering on that. Otherwise, do you guys have any other county communications that are important, or have you communicated with the county on anything prudent, or? Okay,
If we haven't, we should about 5, because it's pretty rough right now.
what's that?
5 is pretty rough, so if they haven't been communicated with,
Yeah, I've been trying to get them to redo that road for 3 years, and it's not scheduled till 2028, and I don't know how the heck they think that stretch of road's gonna last another 3 years. So, please, community members, reach out to them. I've reached out to them probably every 3 months on it. So, community members, I think, need to reach out, and maybe they can reallocate some money, or maybe switch, it's probably too late for 26, but for 27, maybe get this patch of road on this side of town on 5 fixed, because it's pretty rough. So, I was riding with somebody today on it that's not from here. He's like, man, this road is rough. Yeah. So hopefully that's on the radar. Maybe they can consider moving it up, but I'll keep trying. Next, council committee reports. Anybody have any?
I have 2.
Go for it.
Had Chamber of Commerce, we met at the Cambridge Library, and there was a presentation by a company that was spun off from DW called Repurpose Educators, and they gave a presentation on how to work with and communicate with Gen Z employees throughout different companies. So it's cool to see DW with all that they do and trying to use their resources to help other companies. I know they've also helped with the fire district with implementing some equipment management and culture surveys. And then the fire committee report, had my first fire board meeting at Station 1, and there were some discussions that were quicker than I would have liked, but yeah, they're gonna do some changes with implementing some outsourced HR stuff to improve things there, and there's also some minor purchases, but not anything big happening there yet, but.
Okay. Did it move faster? Did you feel like your voice was heard, or do you feel like you didn't step in soon enough, or did they ask you your opinion, or did they just move on?
Raised some questions to try and get some dialogue going, and motion was made and seconded, and that stopped the discussion, and then,
To stop the discussion?
no,
Oh, okay,
to make
okay.
an action on what was being discussed.
All right. Well, thank you for taking that one on. I guess if you ever have any feedback for us or questions, you know where we're at, so. Any other council committee reports?
I did not make the Park and Rec. I was really looking forward to it. We hadn't had one in quite a while, was stuck at a repair shop down in Forest Lake. I did watch it online, and it was a short meeting, it kind of caught up, but there was one thing I wanted to bring to attention to the council, and that was, you know, we did set the goal of a memorial, a Veterans Memorial, and we haven't talked about it in a while. I'd like to see that get back on COW or on our goals for this coming year, and try to work on that a little harder, or get some more updates on it, so. That's about it. Everything else for that meeting was just status quo.
Okay. Stephanie, has there been any discussion on that, or have you heard much, or do you want me to check in with the VFW, or what are your thoughts?
We had some good connections this last summer, and so there's a little progress, but I think there needs to be more follow-up that would
Okay.
happen first before it got brought back here. Should go to Park Board. I would recommend doing some research first and bring it back, and then come back here is what my suggestion would be, but.
Okay. So maybe, George, can you reach out to maybe the VFW if you
Yeah.
want to, or someone from the park board to assign someone so that then there's somebody for it? Or is that what you suggest, having someone from the park board kind of?
Well, staff will do it too.
Okay.
Just with the changeover of park staff.
Sure.
It's not, hasn't been at the top of the list, but it definitely is on the list, so they'll be reaching out too. So Ms. Hillisheim and the Parks Department prior made some great progress, and we just need to see where that landed, because they need to discuss at the VFW, so.
I know we made it a goal 2 years ago, so I'd like to try to keep the ball rolling on that. I think we made a little bit of headway. It's just a matter of coming up with the final details to move that next step we need to move. I'll talk to the,
The way it stood the last time was you're just waiting to get approval for a landscaping plan designed, like a design done to show people what it could look like. And so just that money would need to be allocated for that. And so that's where, I know the last time I discussed it with Jessica, that's where we were at, so.
okay.
Sounds good. Anybody else with any others? Otherwise, okay. So I have a couple things just to mention. So I thought this was interesting or important to share. I get a lot of questions about this. So I saw in the admin update that the Public Works went out and collected street pole numbers for burnt out lights that Connexus has to come and fix. Thank you guys for doing that. It's one of the hundreds of things that they do that just kind of goes unnoticed until a light goes out. And we don't control those lights. The only thing we can do is send it to Connexus to request that they come fix it. Sometimes they let it be for a while. It's not a priority. Sometimes it's a couple hours. So just be patient if you see that. They did go out and check over all those. I also noticed that Public Works got Illuminated Isani pretty much entirely wrapped up for the season. There were a couple of stakes that were frozen in the ground that couldn't come out, so there's cones over those. And I also wanted to let people know that I submitted a newspaper article with more information about Illuminated Isani on everything that went into it this year and kind of the past and the transition that we hope we can continue. So that's a column in the newspaper, so look for that in the newspaper. And we're going to continue as a group to come up with ideas to write more in the newspaper to get more public outreach and just more understanding of what we're doing as a city. We came up with a couple other good ideas in the previous goal-setting meeting, which I appreciate. And then the second entrepreneur workshop was yesterday. I've been able to attend both of those, and both of them had probably 25 to 30 attendants, and I think it's been well attended. It's a great networking place. I was able to talk to a lot of local businesses, and I think they appreciate that the city and the Chamber of Commerce and the East Central Regional Development Commission, that's a collaboration that the city is not putting any money into. It's just we're providing the space for them to have it, and Stephanie's there to answer questions, and it's a good way to outreach to grow the business community. And like I mentioned in the goal-setting meeting as well, we've continued to try to grow businesses, and I met with 2 business owners in the last week, and they were both very thankful for Stephanie and our city council and all of our staff for being significantly more friendly than the other cities they were looking. And I think that's just a testament to our staff and what we've done to implement better business practices for our city. So I'm really excited for this entrepreneur workshop. The next one, I believe, is March 3rd. So if you're interested in that and you have a small business or a big business or just considering starting any kind of business, feel free to come to that and check it out. Next, we will move on to business item K1, a resolution to consider approving a site plan review for Weathered Wood, Minnesota.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is for a site plan review to approve 2 accessory buildings for Weathered Wood, Minnesota. They are zoned in the BIT Tier 1 Business Industrial Transitional District. The ISANI Planning Commission conducted a public hearing on January 20th of the review and recommended approval of the site plan to come forward to the council. The finding of facts and all of the items are within the packet.
Make a motion to approve.
Second?
Motion to approve on the floor from Councilmember Lundin, second from Councilmember Peterson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you guys for the good discussion on that in that last meeting. K2, consider resolutions for Railroad Avenue and Main Street sidewalk improvements, preliminary engineering report. Mr. Cook.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So I have a little slideshow to give. I'll pop up over here. Hopefully it works. So this is the evaluation that you guys had me do back in January. You guys wanted us to evaluate Railroad Avenue. So we not only did that, but in a recent council meeting, you guys were discussing the Main Street sidewalk. So we were able to just include that in this evaluation. All right. So, as I said, this is that presentation. So the project areas is, the original area is the Railroad Avenue stretch from Palomino to Main Street. That's the stretch that has that white striped sidewalk along the edge of the pavement. And then that Main Street sidewalk infill piece is the piece of sidewalk that's missing from Credit Union Drive to essentially Richard Avenue on the north side of Main Street. So those existing conditions, this is a state aid route, starting with Railroad Avenue here. The pavement's in a poor condition, so it's in need of more than a seal coat or a mill and overlay. There's currently no parking on the east side along that painted stripe, and that striped walkway isn't ADA compliant. It's too narrow, and it's on the cross slope of the gutter. So that's the current fit. The right-of-way is also only 40 feet wide here, and so we're working in a pretty tight little corridor. The water main went in 1976, as well as the sanitary. They haven't had any failures or clogs, so we don't anticipate needing to do anything with that.
Didn't we have a failure there about 2 years ago on Railroad and Broadway right at that intersection? Then I remember Josie, you'd come in like really early in the morning. There was a water main failure there.
So
There's a patch over the road right now.
yeah, so we had I guess, a conflict from our storm crossing and the water service depth and the sanitary depth actually all in that one spot. And so, yeah, I guess you're right. We had to do a repair there, but it wasn't really specifically from condition or age.
Okay.
That would be something that we'd need to chase now. On that note, I guess there is a sanitary service that might need to be evaluated on depth as well.
On the end, on the corner, yep.
But I guess for the main line in the street, it's not looking like we would need to go chasing, replacing all that, which would be a significant cost. And then the storm sewer actually went in 1998 initially, and then again in 2006 with some extension into the curb lines and things. It was kind of a strangely built road where it originally didn't have curb, and then it got the curb added as planned, but like later on, and then the catch basins were initially installed where the curb was supposed to go, and then it didn't quite line up. So if you go look at it, there's kind of little bump outs with where the catch basins are. So unnecessary background, there you go.
Will that have to be changed?
So yes,
Okay.
so specifically the catch basins on the east side would be along where that current curb line is in that image. But our game plan here is to be able to make this walkway safer and ADA compliant, would be to move that curb line over to where the white paint line is, and then have the sidewalk grade separated and ADA width and sloped properly. But moving that curb over, you'd see that the catch basin that's in the curb where it is now would also have to move over. So we'll have to slide those over to fit the new curb line, just to make stormwater work.
When you say slide them over, I assume that's
Bring 'em up to
fairly more intensive than just sliding them over.
Well, actually, we have a good condition here
Okay.
where all the catch basin leads are just stubs straight out from the main line. And so we're actually be able to just grab those we'll build new ones, but we basically just shorten how long the pipe run is.
Got it.
Instead of if it was like running along the curb line, we'd have a real problem. 'Cause then
Like
we'd
on
have to
Whiskey and
add
5?
Structures and reroute things.
Okay.
Whereas all we gotta do is shorten the pipe runs, which is as good as we can hope. All right, so as we just described, here's the concept. So I guess it's rotated all crazy north to the right in this photo. Essentially, like I just said, the curb line moves over. We get a concrete sidewalk along the back of curb, which will that outer edge would essentially kind of widen about a foot wider than the current walk is at to where the outside edge of the walk would be. And that would only leave us about a foot to 2 feet from the walk edge to the right of way. So we have a very tight little corridor to try and wedge this in. And then by moving that curb line to where that white line is, we still will actually have enough room for two-way traffic and parking on the west side, which is currently what we have. It's currently no parking on the east side, and we just keep it that way. So we do have just enough room. And then with that plan, we would also just leave that west curb in place and only do spot repairs as needed, kind of like we've done on our recent projects, like Sandy Hills, South Brookview. Reclaim the street and just spot repair the curb, essentially, is the rest of what this project is. And then otherwise, to get that walk in, there are 2 hydrants that are in the way, and we don't have room with the right-of-way to be able to leave them where they are. And so we got to slide one back just a little bit, and another one we got to move down to where we do have an easement. But that's really the only main conflicts that we've identified for fit, to be able to get this walk to fit in there and meet the requirements.
I do have a quick question for you. So I know there's a concern about semi-truck parking there, and I think with this setup, it's gonna be too tight. But my question is, if, say, that business there wanted to sort of add their own little parking pad, you know, between, I think there's a light pole, there's like 2 light poles there. If they wanted to have like a little kick out, would that be something that if they were to pay for it, we could have done at the same time? Is that like a potential option? Have you ever seen like anything like that? Maybe like an apron added, or like, if they would like to do.
On the west side, the businesses?
Yeah, yep, yeah, on the
That
west
does
side.
have parking? Yeah, I mean, they already have kind of a paved surface the whole way, and so, yeah, if they.
There is one area that's dirt or grass. So have you ever seen that where you kind of work with the, like,
Yeah, in this condition, this situation where it's already all the mix
Right.
of paved and gravel and things, you know, yeah, if there was
Okay.
a layout tweak that they would want to make to try and use their site a little different to get off the road more, we'd be more than happy to try and help along, because as you're saying, the more we can get parked semis off the road, the better.
right?
You know, but right now, what the game plan is the road will still be pretty much the exact width that it currently is between the white line and the curb line.
Right.
So we're not actually really narrowing it for what was supposed to be used for vehicle traffic.
I know people cross the white line when there's,
Oh.
yeah. So I want to make sure that we do this right the first time. Would it be possible, can I give that company your number and have them call you? I'll just give them a brief rundown, have them call you, and if they have ideas that you can add into your planning, so that we make sure we do it right for them and for everybody else the first time?
Sure, yeah, if
Okay.
they have ideas, yeah, I'd be open to talking about how their functionality of their site, sure.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, and then jumping over to the Main Street infill, I guess it's that straightforward. It's literally at Richard, there's that crosswalk on the right side of the screen that has that little section of walk that's already in that gets over to Fifth. And then there's just that gap along the north side of Main Street to where there's an existing ped ramp on the west side of Credit Union Drive aiming at nothing. And so our fill-in here would simply connect the dots, add that crosswalk striping, and I believe the only thing we really identified as a conflict is there's a kind of a split tree that would likely need to get removed.
How about the fire hydrant?
The fire hydrant looks like it's just tight enough where we'd probably just have to do like a 1 foot kind of bump out and around with the walk and be able to just leave the hydrant where it is.
Okay, and I see on there in the design, it says 6-foot sidewalk, but in the bullet point, it says 5-foot sidewalk. Is there a reason why we're going from a 5-foot to a 6-foot, or is that a typo?
Off the top of my head, I'm gonna call it a typo. We would match how wide the existing walk is.
Okay.
I believe the report is 5 feet, so let's say that's a typo.
Okay,
So
sounds
whatever
good.
the walk is, the existing walk is, we just continue.
Okay,
Because that'd fit the landing on that ramp as it is, as well as the crosswalk that would be receiving us. We just wanna be as wide as those ends are.
yep, okay.
Yep. All right, so general costs. So the Railroad Avenue project is a total cost estimate of $517,000 and change. We're only looking at assessing the reclaim and essentially the spot repairs of the curb, following how we've assessed all of our past projects, which eliminates assessing the sidewalk, the curb shift, and the storm sewer that has to shift, all those things that are related to it. And the whole project's state aid eligible, all the items involved in it. And in the end, that would have the city have a share of $449,000 and the assessable cost is $68,000, but we'll talk a little bit more on the next slide on that. The Main Street infill is slightly different. So that one is a segment of walk that would be required for a developer to put in if it were to be developed. There are vacant lots right now. And so that's proposed to be a deferred assessment onto those parcels when they develop. So essentially, they would have incurred that cost anyway. We're just trying to get that work done now. And if anything, that may save them money in building it now versus in the future, at whatever time they may end up doing it, is when they would only need to repay us, essentially. That project is estimated at $73,000, and that would be fully assessed.
Would you, after looking at it a little more, do you think that's a good thing for us to use the MSAS on that, or is it just better for us as a city to take that cost on and not go through that and just, assess it on deferred assessment onto the property?
So the benefit of doing it now, and being part of this report right here.
All right,
is if we
definitely
try
do it now.
With a project we're already having to do all the state aid hoops with,
Okay,
it can be grouped with work, so hopefully, economy of scale might help. Yes, there's a few extra little hoops that'll have to go with the contractor and the costs with that project to make it use state aid funds. But for us to cover our funds now using those funds and then have that deferred until they're reimbursed to us, seems like a pretty good idea.
Sure.
A pretty good fit for this, this infill to kind of work with the situation. So I guess I could pretty much cover the next slide, but let's dive in. So the assessment, like I say, following our policy is 25% of the street improvements on Railroad. So on Railroad, our current assessment policy is if there's a new sidewalk that wasn't petitioned for, that wouldn't be assessed, and that's why we're following that protocol. So like I say, only those street costs that aren't involved in the sidewalk are that items that would be 25% eligible. Total frontage on 14 parcels comes out to 2,580 feet of frontage. Divided out, comes out to about $26.52 a foot. That's kind of right in that same range that we've had on our past few projects, if not on the low end. I think Isani Hills was quite low, but in general, that's below our average cost per foot of an assessment as it is, which if you see that average cost of $5,263, these are kind of larger parcels, and so that average individual parcel cost is a slightly higher, but it's well within our kind of average ranges we've been assessing.
Is that cost different for a commercial property versus a residential property, or is it the same?
Nope, it's the same policy, same percentages. I'm trying to see if I had that breakdown of past projects in here, I'm not sure, but
I'm primarily worried about the house on the end. Do you know offhand how much that assessment could cost?
we do have a preliminary assessment roll in the report.
Okay.
Without knowing the address,
It's probably the lowest one.
yeah, I guess we'd have to get into the lowest one is $1,989.
Okay.
Maybe that end one is $2,625.
Okay, so somewhere in that range.
I'm not knowing which one's which.
Yep, okay.
But you can certainly look in the report
Yep.
there once you have an address. So, and then just in bold there, final assessment, the way we've done them all is we wait till the contract's been bid and constructed, and then do the final assessment hearing at the end of the season to base it on the actual incurred costs, where these numbers would kind of be the cap that people would have to expect to run into. And in the past, we've kind of, I don't want to pre-qualify, but, you know, we've had good bids, and we've managed to keep the projects under bids, or under bid on top of it. So we've had good results in the end, but these are the numbers to kind of plan for. And now, jumping over to the Main Street one, as we say, because it's a commercial, undeveloped lot, it does fall under the deferred assessment category of our assessment policy, which is different, and then does allow us to 100% assess the sidewalk, because like we say, they would have had to build it and pay for the whole thing at any time they should develop it. All right, so we're down to schedules. So, if we want to move forward with this today, you would have to pass the two resolutions that we have there. One is to call for two separate improvement hearings, so that we kind of have to technically hold the two different ones, the deferred Main Street sidewalk infill as its own path, and then the Railroad Avenue improvement hearing would also be the next step in moving forward with an assessed project. We do have time by when your scheduled meetings are to get an open house in there to at least make it available for the people on the project to come in and have questions or get information. At which point, then we would hold the public improvement hearing on March 3rd, and, you know, taking information from that, see what we can incorporate into the plans. We would have a goal of mostly having the plans done by that meeting, but if we have any tweaks, we'd be able to make them by the March 17th meeting, at which point we would present the plans to you guys. You'd be able to approve them and approve advertising for bids, at which point we'd have that advertised for 3 weeks, and that next meeting that would be able to award would be April 21st, and then they'd have all season to build it. I anticipate that 3 months is definitely on the long end. I'm gonna guess it's more of a 2-month project, if not 1.5, depending on how they run their process. And then the final assessment hearing, like we said, would be ideally the first or second meeting in November, depending on when that project got done.
So I got a question. If we go forward with this and it's a June start, how's it gonna affect the Rodeo Jubilee Parade?
So as we've done in the past, we've written in a section that says no work during those. Either they have to have completed their work by then or not start. And it's that straightforward. We can write that in our spec.
Cause that, if it started in June, you know, July, it's the first part of July. If they started in June, I don't think they're gonna have it done by then.
Sure, but that's where our specs are just written to say, hey, contractor, give us your best price to do it when it works the best in your schedule. But here's your criteria. And if the criteria is you don't get to work on this week or have the street tore up,
Because I do know that parade turns down
It does,
off of Main Street on there and then turns and goes up Broadway.
but absolute worst case, they could use Dolan too, which is 60 feet over it for the same.
I get that, but I just, you know, that is a big deal in this city.
is.
So it's gotta be some thought in there.
Yeah, I think I mean, as we have on our last few projects that had anything to do with parade routes, we've specifically written that in, and I don't see why we wouldn't again. And, you know, that very well mean they don't start till later July, but, you know, it really isn't gonna be that big of a difference, I don't think, for bids, for sure, and the fact that they'll have, you know, if it's a less than 2-month project, they'll have plenty of time to figure out when they wanna come to start. We'll just have some other things written in there that once you start, we want you done within, you know, X number of days.
What's written in there if they're not done in X amount of days? Would there be a money contingency?
Yep, so there's liquidated damages that we always have in there. We've never really have to go there because they know that's hanging there. And usually we give them enough time where we haven't really run into it, but there are stipulations in the specs to
Okay.
a monetary, you know, penalty. Well, I guess I'm not supposed to call it a penalty. Liquidated damage for the lack of use of the street, yeah.
Okay. For the open house, there's not very many properties on this one. How much time, would it just be you at the open house, or would other city staff have to be in here with you? Is this one where it could just be you on your own, so we only have to, or how does that work?
It would be Jason as well as either myself or Josh Becker, usually.
Okay, for this one, would it be an hour or 2-hour window, or what are you thinking? I'm just,
Yeah, I mean, I guess what we've found is if, we usually have been making these about 2 to 2.5 hours long, but it's usually, the first half hour is most everybody, and then maybe an hour later, another wave of a couple people, so I don't know that we'd need to be over an hour and a half, and if we made it an hour, I mean, like you say, there's only 16 people total, involved, so, you know, we could, obviously we'll get them all a direct, you know, letter, inviting them, but we can certainly give them info on how to just directly contact us, because it's not a very big list, you know. On other projects, there's 80 to 100 people. This one's gonna be a lot easier to be one-on-one on.
sure. Yeah, I think it's 16 parcels, but a lot of them are owned by the same people.
Yeah, that's true, too.
So
You're
it's,
right.
I
So
think
even
your
less.
list is more like 10.
Yep.
I was just thinking, like, is it necessary to do that, or could we just send a few extra letters and then with your phone number and they can just call you directly? Or which would you prefer? Which do you think is better for a say, 10-person list?
Yeah, I mean, I do run into the, you know, the classic, the person didn't open their letter. and
Okay.
Didn't know about it, but then maybe they saw that there's an open house coming, you know, either in this or online or, you know, whatever, that there's a meeting to attend, you know. With this small of a list, you know, I don't know what the feedback will be on willingness of people to directly call me
Okay.
with their comments as opposed to coming up with them, but honestly, with this small of a group, I would definitely see it not being necessary, and we can try and one-on-one contact everybody.
I think I'd prefer that route personally, because then they don't have to mess up their schedule. They can call you, you can call them.
Sure.
Personally, I don't, that's just my opinion on the open house for that one.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah, more of a time window, it seems more accommodating, so long as they're contacted and have that allowance, then it seems fine.
Well, open house is always a good thing because there is other people with other questions that might not be part of this project, but somehow it might affect them. That's just me personally, but he's gonna spend as much time answering phone calls as he is if he's up here doing it.
Sure, okay.
And that's a really good point on, this is kind of a collector-type road, so anybody that's passing through this road might have questions about traffic control and, you know, impacts to them that aren't directly the ones getting the letters, so that's a good point.
Like sometimes we do have the school district, because their bus drivers will come
Okay,
and ask questions.
sounds good. Open house it is then.
Oh, all right.
I think, I don't know.
With that, yeah, I guess, I mean, any other questions? Otherwise, yeah, if you want to move forward, we got to pass the resolution to call for the improvement hearings, as well as a call for producing the plans so that we can have them ready by that March
So,
17th.
question for you, even though you go through this, and let's say the Main Street sidewalk gets stopped, we don't have to proceed with the sidewalk, but at least we can have that information ready, right?
Correct, yeah. So part of it, them being separate is they'll each have their own path as it is. And technically, we aren't actually like recording these assessments on these properties until, you know, the end of the year. And so between now and then, if anything happens with that walk-in fill, the owner wants to build it themselves or whatever happens, we'll be able to adjust that at the, essentially, when we actually do the final assessment hearing and say, oh, this happened, this person doesn't even need to be on the roll anymore, or, you know, or we've completely eliminated it, well, that's easy enough. But yeah, on these steps, you know, if you recall all these other projects, you know, that award bid on April 21st, I mean, each of these is kind of a stop. So if I bring you the plans in March 17th and you're like, you know what, we've got a lot of feedback, we don't want to do this project, project's done. If at that time you want to at least get bids and find out how much it is, we go get bids. April 21st rolls around, bids are bad, and you're like, we don't want to give this to anybody, project's done. You know, so each one of these is kind of a check before we actually pay to build it. So, yep.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a question first.
Yeah.
So with the, you said the sidewalk on Railroad, since it wasn't petitioned for, it can't be assessed?
Correct.
How would people have gone to petition it, or what would that process be? If people don't want it, why?
Sure, so just our policy is written that if, I want to say 35%, or the number 35 is in my head, but essentially the petition would just be a certain number of people need to have signed a petition asking for a walk to be added. If they didn't and we're the ones driving it, then it's a city-driven new walk, and our policy is that new sidewalk in residential areas and isn't assessed.
So it has to be 35% of the affected frontage road?
The people that are, yeah, being assessed essentially.
Okay. So with the option to do it or not do it, would they have the ability to petition between now and then, or are we taking that away
Are
from
you
them?
talking about on Main Street or Railroad?
You were talking about Railroad, were you not?
Railroad.
Yeah, okay, just making sure.
So, sure, if they want to come ask us to assess them for the walk, we can assess them. That would probably have to get worked out by the improvement hearing, because that's when we'd actually be kind of figuring out how much we're telling them their assessments are.
Was there a breakdown of the cost of Railroad with and without?
Yeah, in the report there, there's well, it doesn't have different assessment amounts. It's got the column for the non-assessed cost, which would be, you'd be able to add the 25% of that cost. I could do that math if you want me to and shoot you guys an email, but.
So I have,
I'd be a little surprised if after we've already said this, that they're gonna ask us to assess them.
yeah,
It sounds like, yeah, hey,
sure. So we are also talking about the engineering fees at this point, correct?
yep.
Okay, so I'm really curious, and I don't mean this to be rude, but am I understanding that it's gonna cost us $120,000 almost in engineering for this short stretch of straight road?
For everything, yeah.
Okay. Hoofda. I guess I just have a little concern about that price, and I'm just gonna be frank with what happened with the Sandy Hills project and some of those curbs not being caught before the road was done. Like there was that issue with the curb, with especially the one they didn't saw cut straight and that wasn't caught before the road was done. And we pay you guys to catch that stuff. I'm concerned that, we're paying a fairly sizable amount of money to make sure that everything's done proper, so we don't have to come back afterwards and make cuts in the road. So I'm just frankly concerned about that much money for engineering fees for this small of a project. And when we had the last one, that there was stuff missed. And I don't know, that's just feedback from me personally. I think it kind of put us in a bad spot on that Iceni Hills project and that homeowner, and I don't really appreciate that. So it's just a lot of money to put at something and not have it perfect, you know? And this, if you look at the cost of this compared to that one, it's a lot of money, $120,000 for, you know, a smaller project, so.
Sure, I guess admittedly, this is that much cheaper than the other one was that you paid for.
Right.
I'd also just argue that that one joint was the only thing. The other issues with the curb were, we left the curb in place
Sure.
on purpose to save the city money
Yep.
and not replace it. So I don't know that I would say that there was really much of a deficiency on that.
Okay,
Otherwise, you can claim with state aid funds up to 25% of the project cost and engineering. And so this number is, I believe, just a little less than that, but essentially this is a not to exceed number. So it's, if anything, setting that we won't go over what you can get state aid funds to cover. You know, it's more or less the statement with that fund, with that cost. And our goal is gonna be to stay well under that, but, you know, that's just the other portion of how that number comes to be.
What was the engineering cost for Iceni Hills?
I don't remember offhand.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head.
I don't remember it being glaring like this one, though. Like, this one is, it just seems like a lot of money for a short, straight road. That's,
Yeah,
I don't know where, I mean, you think about $120,000, that's someone's wage for a year. When you, I mean, this isn't gonna be your whole year. So that's where I'm, like, where's the cost? As a taxpayer, I would have that question. Yeah, I mean, you're doing probably 10, 15 projects this year, so,
sure, yeah. So, I mean, this isn't my fee. This is
oh, right.
all the different people involved, you know, surveyors, you know, my inspector. This is a state aid project, so we have to do stormwater modeling and submit permitting for that. Make the plans state aid eligible to make them meet all their standards. Manage the, you know, testing, make sure all that clears. Do material inspections, shop drawing reviews, actually design it all so that it drains and works, take on that liability.
Does the stormwater modeling have to be done if we're using existing stormwater other than different?
We're narrowing the road for one thing, but
Okay.
yes, either way, we would have had
Okay.
to. We have to show that the water's not gonna spread out into the drive lane by more than half of its lane. So we have to show how that is going to not cause danger to the public.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns, comments?
What's the total city cost on this? I'm looking, is that right, 54?
No, that's that, 590 is the total project cost,
And
for
that's,
the two combined.
That's the sidewalk as well?
Yep, that top number.
Yep.
And then you got the little subtotals in there.
and roughly 120,000, that's engineering. Just,
Yep, that's in that number.
yeah, yeah. So that's 20%, roughly.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you wanna, can you come on up, or should we wait for this for the public hearing, or maybe it's a private conversation?
It could be private.
Okay.
I'm just gonna make a note on some of the prices that are in the table for the Main Street block.
Okay, maybe, can we have a private conversation about that? Yeah, I think it might be, okay, perfect, thank you.
Okay,
It just seems like a lot for a public project like this. I mean, is there really that much? I know we've had some concern about that sidewalk. And this is the best answer that we're coming up with?
State aid standards probably make everything far more expensive.
so, yeah, I mean, like, mean, we've been budgeting these, I mean, the Railroad Avenue number, we've had budgeted for like 6 years waiting for this project.
Okay.
It's pretty much
So how
hidden.
much is set aside, I didn't catch that, for this project that's already been,
Budgeted, I think it's 521.
okay.
So
So
we're
that's
actually
where the
under what we
54
budgeted.
comes in. We're gonna be 54 over that cost, 54,000. What we have budgeted for an improvement for this road anyway?
I'm not sure what the 54, so the Railroad Avenue project is estimated at 517,000, and our
Right.
budget is 521,000. So we're estimating it's under what we budgeted. And we still haven't designed the plans and bid it yet, so we're hoping it's that much better. The Main Street sidewalk infill isn't a budgeted thing,
I get it.
but it could be completely covered by state aid funds, so it doesn't impact, I guess, your guys' current budget, because it's just out of your state aid allotment, which, you know, ultimately can impact your budget on if we ran out of state aid funds for something else. But right now, it doesn't look like we're anticipating that happening to us on any of our forecasted projects.
So that money we had set aside for railroad, was this what we were thinking in the future, or were we thinking of doing a complete redo of that road? Like
So,
pipes?
we did a study on this exact thing back in 2016 or 17, and that had evaluated not reclaiming the road, and still leaving the west curb, but essentially it evaluated only doing the sidewalk work. How much it would cost to move the curb over and get the walk in there, move the storm, and then just kind of patch in along the lip of curb. And the finding basically came out to, we recommend waiting until the road needs to be reclaimed, so that we can fix the road and shift that center line crown and just do it all as one, instead of like patching it in. And so that was what we found in 2017, and we recommended doing it in 2026. And so here we are, and it actually surprisingly, I think we'd updated that estimate just a couple of years ago, but I mean, the fact that that number came out as close as it did is a good sign that it is what we were scoping or thinking it was gonna be back when we did that evaluation.
Which at that time, they budgeted 521,000.
Right.
And there, he's coming in right now at 517, so he's less.
All right,
But you look at that 590, that's adding on the sidewalk on Main Street. That's why that total cost is 590.
so it was just a coincidence that we had this sidewalk.
Yes.
Got it. All right.
Yeah, we just squeezed this in because you guys had brought it up on a
Yep.
recent meeting, and I was like, we were about to do the advance request, and I was like, hey, we might as well get it in the advance request. And then I was literally three-quarters of the way through this report, and it was,
Got it.
well, if it's gonna be a state aid project, we might as well get it into this, get that assessment process rolling, and then you can pull it off anytime you want, but at least now we have the evaluation done and tracking for the state aid process as well.
Okay, I'm kind of curious what you have to say, to be honest. Since this directly affects you, can you come up and just state your name and address for the record, if you're still willing to?
Yeah.
Just because it directly affects potentially.
This is one of the tables that I was looking at for
Yeah.
total cost and just some of the things that were.
Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, he saw.
Stacy, Upton. I just have a business in Isani here.
Yep.
And we purchased one of the vacant lots on the corner. One of the things that I was gonna bring up was in the table 1B that you had. It says that it's a 5% contingency, but it's a 10% total cost that's in there. It's on page.
Yeah.
So,
1,080.
just understanding that's just our estimate on what the project could cost, and the assessment
Yep.
will actually be based on
What it actually costs.
bid.
Yep, I understand that.
So, yeah, it's a 10%.
But why would this one be 10% and all the other projects that have gone on throughout the county or throughout the city be 5%?
So we use 10 just because we don't have a survey on it, and we basically are just My biggest concern is
I can provide you, my dad's a surveyor.
Oh.
We did a survey on it.
And so at the time, I don't have it.
Yep.
And so there's kind of a slope that's kind of diving down, off the back of the curve.
Yep.
It's benched and then it dives down. Well, depending on where this walk ties in, it has to be flat. And then if that backside is gonna have to chase side slope, we don't really know if there's something else that might, even just on how much topsoil is needed, seeding, all the little extra things on a small project like this. The smaller the project, the bigger the percentage of a contingency, because the dollar amount isn't much. $5,000 of a contingency is not a very big thing that can get one missed thing,
To a small business owner, $5,000 can be a lot of money.
Right, but again, that's not
Agreed.
a number that you would pay. Like, this is us estimating what it could cost. When
Yeah.
we bid it, there isn't a contingency. When we bid it, if the plans move to bidding, we'll draw up the plans and have exact quantities that are, this is what the contractor should do. At that time, we'd have a survey, we would know exactly what we're saying.
She wouldn't have to
And
pay
that's what
the
they
whole
want.
assessment,
There
either,
isn't
half
a
of it,
contingency to pay.
isn't it 2 parcels?
Our estimate.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good
is unknown
question.
right
I
now,
think
so
it
we have
might
a little
be.
Buffer in there.
Yeah.
That's what a contingency is for right now, because it's preliminary. That contingency goes away when we make that final estimate. That would be the thing we bring on the March 17th meeting. We'd have a new, this is our estimate that the contractors are gonna be bidding.
Yep.
And even then, it's still just whatever the contractor bids.
And then for the engineering, it seemed like on the railroad project, you just pulled the 25% to come up with the engineering costs. And for this project, it's a number that just got thrown out there. It doesn't come out to $17,000 even on anything. But, so it's 30.4% on that.
Right, and again, on a smaller project, it's just
It's a pretty basic project.
percentage-wise, it goes up.
Super basic
That's,
project.
that's,
$14,000 worth of a person's time in plan production. It's
could we do the sidewalk without engineering?
sure.
Is that something the property owner could do, or how does that work? Because to me, anybody that does concrete is gonna wanna do it right, and I don't know that you necessarily need you don't necessarily need an engineer to tell you how to put in a 5-foot wide sidewalk if the ped ramp's already there.
And also, that if he just surveyed it, she wouldn't have to pay at least their survey price, because there's 2 lots there? So she's only gonna be, let's just say 75, just make math simple, 50,000. She's 25,000. And then the other assessment would go to the other lot. But if he surveyed it, I'm sure, I don't know if you surveyed both lots or just the one.
Just ours.
Yeah, so that, at least that half of that survey cost you wouldn't have to do.
Sure, yeah.
I'm just looking at, they've already done it. She's already paid for that survey, so, and that survey should be no different than the survey you would do.
Right, we have topo on it, we have contours, we have every, I
Sure.
can show it to
So,
you.
I don't need to be involved. We don't need to use state aid funds. I don't need to be involved. Absolutely.
So if we were to say approve this process, and that way we have a couple options, if she decides to maybe potentially do it herself, or what, if something else comes up other than following this, can we defer away from this before a certain date? What did you say, like April 21st or something, or?
Far away from it. What do you mean?
As far as like having you do that, like, I think we might need further conversation is what I'm saying.
So, yeah, so if anything, if I don't do it, I just subtract $14,000 out of my fees and done. I don't have to do anything. It's great. If we find the survey's done, I can, talk to my surveyor about what he came up with for cost. Maybe it's $3,000 we can subtract out of it.
Okay.
We're gonna use the survey that's provided to us and we can use it.
So if we were to approve this tonight, there's still a flexibility of working together.
To exceed number.
Okay.
Yep.
I think that's fair. Did-
Yeah, my biggest thing is, I'm trying to grow and expand my business here, and
Yeah.
you guys know what I'm involved in, we don't need to let everybody know, but,
Mm-hmm.
that's a huge cost for me when it comes to putting in a new building, and if I'm looking at, $37,000 that I have to throw into a sidewalk when I have buddies that have equipment, I have friends that have, concrete businesses, I can save some really big costs on doing things my way.
Sure,
and doing it with my friends, but that's not on the same timeline,
sure.
But,
That's the difference of
which is
being
the
able
tough
to
part.
defer it so you don't have to incur it until you're gonna develop.
the only thing I would caution on it, and I agree 100%. You may get it done a lot cheaper than anybody else will type of thing. But it would have to meet the standards of the sidewalk that we were discussing. Because at this point, we could just say, let's just do the other half of the lot now. And if she's gonna develop that property, I don't know when you plan on doing it.
Few years.
We gotta get that sidewalk done. That's a
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
and
just-
the sidewalk needs to be done before
Yeah.
that, which I understand.
Yep.
I totally agree the sidewalk needs to go there.
Yep.
It's for connectivity, but that's the other thing that I think should be taken into consideration. There's multiple businesses that are benefiting from the sidewalk. It's not solely on me. It's not solely on the other property owner that's gonna be next to me. But it connects to Caribou, the clinic, McDonald's, the hotel.
Dairy Queen.
There's, yeah, Dairy Queen. There's also a stretch along behind Minco that's not connected, where it's the same situation.
Yeah, and we try to keep it consistent, like all these businesses have paid for the sidewalks in front, so everybody has paid their fair share along the way. It is a good
Yeah.
connection, for sure, a good connection point, like, that's why I've been shooting to get this done for like 3 years. So I've been asking about this one, and then I think last year we realized we could defer it, and then we brought it forward to this year to kind of include, and then the sale of the property happened at a
Yeah.
convenient or inconvenient, either way, time, so.
Yeah, and like I say, the goal would be that, this estimated cost is already covering everything and we're not missing something. There's 5,000 off right there. We hope the bidders come in 10% under that.
Sure.
Now we're at 45,000.
Okay,
And, the number, hopefully this is worst case scenario.
Yeah.
But absolutely right, if you could hire somebody yourself to do it, crazy cheaper, there'd just be that topic of now, and then you'd actually incur the cost as opposed to,
Having it deferred.
being able to let it, defer.
sure. So if this were approved, there would be flexibility, and you guys could communicate and figure out, and then obviously it'd have to come to council, but I think that seems to be a little more discussion needed. Or maybe once you go through a couple more steps, you'll know more that you can pass on information. Or, during the public hearing, I don't know if that's too late.
Well, so,
Time of bid, once that bid is received to us, we can say your nay at that point.
yeah, I mean, the incurred cost would be, let's say half of it to get to bidding.
Sure,
And so if we can shave a few thousand off from
Yep.
the survey already being done, and then we've only incurred a few $1,000s to get it included in the bid, and we get the bids then, and now we go, oh, the bid's way more than we wanna make anybody even pay in the deferred case. Let's strip that walk out of the bid, we're not doing it, we'll do something else. Then we've stopped, and, the only incurred cost was whatever, and we didn't end up even doing a deferred thing, because maybe it died.
okay,
To get to bidding, we at least gotta do the design side, and, however much surveys available for us will be as much as, we would actually have to incur on cost to get to bidding. That's why there's two numbers for the other project as well. It's the general idea to get through bidding, and then if it moves into final construction, the construction side of it and delivery. And so it'd be the same with this, there's kind of the two parts to it.
okay.
Is there ever the possibility of a special assessment type of situation where it's not the whole entire cost? Because we are vacant land? Because
we
when
had
I think when a developer goes and puts in their sidewalk, again, they're getting it for a decent cost, where to me, this is an inflated cost that would be coming back on us. To me, a percentage of it, the same way that the railroad road is being done.
Yeah, I know,
Ever a possibility?
I know the policy says, we always try to follow our policy, because
I tried to
anytime,
find it, but I couldn't find
Yeah.
anything online about it.
maybe Stephanie or Ms. Wood could get the policy, because we cannot waiver from policy, really, unfortunately. Like, I would love to, But we can, I think if we can be flexible and maybe you guys can just do it yourself, or we can get the cost down somehow. Because I just, you can't, it comes down to a situation where people think it's preferential treatment versus what's been done in the past.
Yeah, every other business, our policy is that walk goes on the north or west side of the road.
Yep,
no connection.
yeah, I know
Every
that.
business that's developed has had to pay for their walk, so that's, the only caveat here is we're just trying to do it ahead of time. And like we say, hopefully this is an inflated number,
Yeah.
because it's not actually based on,
So here's another question into that. Even though she just bought that property, she hasn't developed it yet. So that deferred assessment could carry out to 2 or 3 years whenever she does it, correct?
I was wondering that too.
Yep, so I mean, it's not like you gotta take that hit today or whatever, I mean, I guess.
Just, I think there is interest, though. She will accrue interest.
I would like to add that the other property owner along that walkway would also prefer to, they plan to develop sooner this year and would prefer to do their own portion of that sidewalk as well. So just to consider that. And,
Okay.
And that's
Mr. Cook is
I mean, I
aware
know
of
they're a
that.
big developer too, so they're,
Okay,
so, how about, I mean, an alternative could be we could get a quotes for that from them, and then use that number as the deferred.
that's an idea.
I like that
I'd be
idea
interested in
too.
seeing that,
Okay,
for sure.
So,
We could remove that Main Street sidewalk at any time. We just need to get this in, those numbers in, so that we can get further on. And we could, when the bid process comes, that'll come as a separate bid package.
Sure.
And we could have it removed at that time.
so what I think I'm hearing is, hopefully we got a survey that's
Jason, can you kind of step up to the mic, just, sorry.
So I'm hoping we got survey we can use, and we can still get the plan sheet made, and we're only gonna incur quarter of this number. Get it to bid, while that's going to bid with our project, we can ask for quotes, because that would be $73,000 project is gonna be, gotta get 2 or 3 quotes or whatever. And then we can at least see if the quotes are gonna make it more worthwhile. The problem is, if we go for quotes, we won't be able to use the state aid money, because it wouldn't be through the state aid plan approval, review, testing, all the good stuff. So that'd be a choice, council would have to choose if they wanna actually have to fund that one without using state aid funds.
Okay,
That's the only thing. And we might still get bids in that are way better than this,
sure.
so.
Okay, so what would you recommend that we do for that, to have the flexibility to work with her on what you just said?
Well, I mean, because this is a not to exceed number, I don't think there's any problem
Okay.
with passing these resolutions as is, because we work with everybody all the time. The piece that somebody internally would have to do would be that going out for the quotes side of things, or it'd just be an extra cost that you'd be paying me to mess with. But I would say we wait till the plans are, I mean, it's gonna be like a one-page plan, I mean, to be honest.
Yeah, right.
Inside the plan set. So once that one page is made, we could pull that out and have the city go ask the other developer and whoever else for pricing, and then you at least have 2 numbers or 4, I don't know, to work with. And then you'll have to make a decision at more or less that April. Well, technically the award, by the 21st, we'd want to know if we're removing it from the Railroad Avenue project when we're trying to award that. And we just bid it as an alternate to decide if we're pulling it out.
Okay. So you said a one-page report and that's 14,000.
No.
It's made of gold, man. I'm gonna keep on you about that.
So the survey, how much would a survey be?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, fair.
$2,000.
Fair.
Make that plan sheet, $2,000. Make it state aid match and pass all their criteria, $1,000. Now we gotta stake it, $2,000. Now we gotta inspect it like you want
Yep,
to make sure it
yep,
looks good, $2,000.
Okay.
Oh man, I just blew the number. I mean, that's literally, it's crazy how fast the numbers go.
Yep, okay.
So,
So I'm gonna make a motion to go out for the bid as presented, or to move forward with this thing. That's my best way of saying it.
I'll second.
Motion,
Jason- Just a minute,
Yep.
Jason, was there two,
Yeah, there's two resolutions. One is to actually accept this report and call for the improvement hearing, for the two different improvement hearings. And the other one is to authorize moving forward with the plans.
there, that's my motion is.
so motion by Lundin, was that seconded by Heeman?
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm opposed. Motion carries 3-1 on that. So if you guys can communicate or just keep us in the loop, thank you for coming up. I'm happy I had you come up, so, yeah. All right, item K3, resolution to consider approving liquor store staff to approve hemp-derived THC advocacy. Mr. Keith.
Yep, I just have that on the agenda. I brought it to the cow session, the previous meeting, and you had asked me to bring it as a resolution. So I'm basically just looking for permission to put a Facebook post up, and some signage in the store directing people where to make their voice heard if they want to advocate for or against the THC ban that will take place in November of this year.
Okay.
It's gonna change.
All right, so I know we talked about this last month, and I read over the resolution, and it kind of made me second guess it, mostly because of, I don't think we should be talking to people about this, because I think that creates a burden that maybe they didn't want to hear any sort of political talk. So I think if we were to, we're okay with, I think, a sign. I'm okay with like a sign that's by the THC stuff that says, hey, just so you know, this is legislation has passed and this might change, and this is a QR code to scan. I think that's a good way to do it, so we're not necessarily pushing that on to people at our city liquor store, you know, because there might be people that might not want to see that. That was just a thought, based on reading the resolution and just considering more about what we talked about last time. I don't know how everybody else feels about Facebook. I'm not sure if it sets us up for a, you know, city practice that's not necessarily ideal in other situations, if that makes sense. But that's just my opinion. I don't know what you guys have thought about it, if you think it's great, obviously, we are concerned about the potential revenue loss at the liquor store, and I think it's a little bit too overarching of a policy, but I don't know what we should do about it, so.
When we had discussed it, with the liquor store being what it is, I was fine with informing customers about that and making sure that if that's a product that they want, that they have the ability or to know ahead of time what they can do to advocate for that. But I agree with you as far as advocating on social media and anything else. I don't know that that's the approach I'd want to take.
Okay,
I agree with him 100%. That's what I was gonna say. I'm okay with getting the information out there and give it, informing the public of what's happening and where to go for information, but not to advocate one way or the other on it.
Okay.
so, Steve?
You know how I felt about the whole thing to start with, so it is what it is. I don't agree with the fact that they made it legal. Now they're saying it shouldn't be legal. In other words, you can't make up your mind what you want to do. That's where I have a problem. You turned it, made it legal, now you're saying it's not legal. I'd rather see them go to the liquor store where they're gonna be carded to see that they're of age to purchase it, rather than a convenience store, absolutely. I have no problem with that way. To me, it was a mistake that I think a lot of that THC was, nobody knew what they really wanted to do. And it created a bigger problem than it should have been.
Sure.
So, I guess, I don't, if it's on Facebook, you can't stop somebody from looking at a Facebook page. If they're gonna do something, I'd rather see a sign in the liquor store.
Okay. So it sounds like you guys are okay with the sign by the THC products that says, just neutral information, scan this to learn more. Is that maybe where you want to start? Do you want to have more or less, or?
I think that should be fine.
Does that sound okay, Keith?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think I've spent enough time on this
Yeah,
too, you know. so-
Yeah, and we can, everybody's listening can know that, you know, the THC market is potentially changing, or probably changing in November. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out. But yeah, I think that's a good step, and just so people are aware, you know, there's no, you know, political bias one way or the other, it's just aware, so. Everybody sound good with that?
Yeah, so do we need are we gonna get a new resolution, or we just say which parts we don't want in it, or how do we go about?
Ms. Wood?
Yeah, if the motion includes revisions as shared, staff will include those, make those changes before we have it signed. So what we would be doing is modifying the final whereas and delete the section that says, "and permits Isani liquor store staff to show their support during work hours while working." Also strike that from the final, now therefore, and then after the date, which is now November 12th, 2026, of that final paragraph, there'd be a period after that date. We would strike out "and permit liquor store staff to show their support while working." And it will remove it'll post
Facebook
in
post.
store, but it will strike out "and on the Isani liquor store Facebook page." That'll be stricken.
How do you feel about that, Ms. Wood, as far as the city perspective?
I agree with that. I think that if you're going to advocate for initiatives that are at that state level, I do think that there's different processes that could be gone through, which is to have the council set up a separate committee where they discuss a workshop to have legislative initiatives.
LMC?
You know, which we do through LMC, and because we have always representation on that, I feel like we fill that need. I do have a concern of if we are to post things that are political on city Facebook pages, that it can open the door to, well, why aren't you advocating for this or this? And then if that gets a little controversial, staff has to deal with the grunt of that. And it may not even be related to liquor, but because it was posted on the city Facebook page, they may talk to them about it. I feel like we work really hard to have our staff, even at the liquor store, not to talk about politics and those kind of things, because that's not what they're there for.
Sure.
I
Do you thi-
agree that we do make good sales from it, and it does help as a revenue source, but it just is a tricky situation of what it could open the door would be my concern.
Do you think the sign would be appropriate?
I think the sign is informational.
Okay, yep.
And I think that is not saying it's coming from staff per se. Council has said to put up a sign. I think that, I don't have an issue with that.
Okay. And as far as LMC goes, if you want me to advocate for something down there this year, if you want to write something up, I'd be more than willing to present that.
That's good to know, thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right, well, I'll entertain, was there a motion made on that? No? I'll entertain a motion. If anybody's interested.
Before we make a motion, is it possible to get like a red line version of it, so we have the exact version what we'd be motioning on?
That's probably a decent idea. Is this that pressing, would it waiting 2 weeks to actually making a final approval?
No, I mean, it doesn't take effect until November.
Sure.
So we've got time.
Okay. So maybe come back at next cow, or council it'd have to be, I guess, and we can talk about it. Maybe if there's other ideas in the meantime, we can get on a call maybe and talk about other ideas and just
So
make,
then, now motion, we postpone this until next council meeting.
sounds good.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Lundin, second by Councilmember Heeman. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Next, we will move on to item K4, a resolution to consider declaring a vacancy on the city council. So I just wanted to take a second to personally thank Jeff Holmgren for his 30 years of service to the city of Isani. City council and mayor positions take significant amounts of time, and I appreciate that he resigned to keep a better family work-life balance. Family is important and something the leadership and residents of the city of Isani value. If you've ever wanted to get involved in city government, feel free to reach out with questions or submit an application to fill this seat for the remaining 2026 term. Is there anything you wanted to add to that?
What I'll add, Mayor, is that the applications, you can see that they are in the packet, but they are also available on our website starting tomorrow, as well as available at City Hall. If anyone wants to pick those up, they will be accepted here at City Hall through the end of day business on Wednesday, February 25th. Tentative interview schedules will be posted no later than March 1st, and we do them in order of applications as they come in. That's the order that is decided for the interview. And then interviews will be scheduled likely on March 4th, during the city council meeting. Everyone who does apply will receive the questions in advance, and they can do so, ask any questions to Ms. Strand.
I make a motion to declare the vacancy of the city council seat.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Lundin, second by Councilmember Peterson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Next, item K5, resolution to consider authorizing to enter into professional services contract for IT services with White Bear IT Solutions LLC.
Excuse me,
Yep.
just for clarification, I believe that March 17th is when the interviews would take place. I
Okay.
apologize.
And would that be listed on the application, or where's
It'll be in the notice.
notice? Okay. Sounds good. All right, so we are on, you're good, item K5.
All right, Mayor and Council, at the January 20th City Council meeting, Council authorized issuing a counteroffer to White Bear IT Solutions, adjusting what they had proposed, which was originally $2,250 per month for IT services to $2,100. Following that meeting, the counteroffer was presented to White Bear IT Services. White Bear IT notified the city that they were not able to accept the counteroffer at this time. The vendor stated that their cost of doing business has increased, and the additional Fed RAMP security requirements mandated by the BCA for monitoring and managing police department resources have expanded their responsibilities, and they are simply passing on the cost to the city. They are not adding any additional costs, but there is an increased workload with that. So they're requesting to still have their proposal requested. Staff is also seeking to have their proposal accepted by council to go for the remainder of that 3-year contract.
I think they had a pretty good reason for the price increase. I mean, we know that police stuff has gotten significantly more, and I looked at some of the old quotes, Ms. Wood had sent those out to us, and pretty competitive number, so it was worth a shot.
Like I said the last
Yeah.
time, I make a motion to approve.
Sounds
And we're
good.
gonna spend, I know the next one was almost double this, and the one after that was triple that.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's what they were, they're gonna be the same.
Sure, it's worth a shot, you never know with negotiations. We did have a good luck negotiating here in the past, so.
So, I motion to
Motion?
approve
I'll
for,
second.
Motion by Councilmember Lundin, second by Councilmember Heeman to approve the 2250. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Next, item K6, resolution to consider recommending the Iceni County Board of Commissioners establish a no parking except for funeral services zone along County Road 5.
During the January Committee of the Whole meeting, staff and council members discussed ongoing safety and maintenance concerns regarding on-street parking along County Road 5 with Heritage, specifically the segment heading east from Highway 65. This is in response to resident complaints as well as just concerns that have been heard of the city. And this is a road that is a county road and managed by the county. So the city is making a recommendation per this resolution to the county that they address the issue by posting it as no parking, but allowing there to be parking for access to the cemetery, which is there near the apartment complex that seems to have some of the people parking. We did have staff reach out to the apartment complex, and they agreed that there should be adequate parking there in their parking lot, and they did not themselves have a high concern.
Well, that's great to hear. That makes that decision pretty easy. And like I said before, I've talked to dang near everybody at the county about this, and I think some of you guys have seen the emails, so I think it's a good thing, and I'll make a motion to approve.
second.
Motion approved by myself, second by Councilmember Lundin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Are there any items in the consent agenda that you would like pulled or have any questions on any of the items?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved by Councilmember Lundin, second by Councilmember Peterson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Any other communications or questions?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion adjourned by Councilmember Lundin, second by Councilmember Peterson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. We are adjourned.